Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey everybody, Alex Stephenson from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod, your weekly video podcast for completely custom Magic the Gathering sets. This week, we're hearkening back to my childhood and watching going through a list of cards from a pretty awesome movie. I would say it's got to be one of the best live-action from animation movies ever made. And of course, the cartoon when we were kids was awesome, but in 1990, they made it into a live-action movie, which was just amazingly done, really awesome. I haven't seen it in years, and making this set makes me want to go back and watch it again. That's right, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So just awesome costume design. The voice work was like amazing. The fight scenes were awesome. There was even swearing in it, and it was a kids movie. So like everything about that 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie is just amazing. Certainly my favorite of the trilogy of those live-action movies. But yeah, just really awesome. And let's get into the cards. So we've got Raphael, the Stubborn Loner. Raphael seems to be taking sort of the leading role of the Turtles in this movie. They follow him in the beginning when he's he went to the movie theater. He encounters Casey Jones. So yeah, it was kind of an interesting choice to make Raphael the sort of focus of this movie in terms of the Turtles. But let's go through his card. So as you might expect, since they're ninjas, ninjutsu or ninjitsu. What's weird is I didn't know ninjitsu was spelled that way. I'm not sure if that's like unique to Magic or not, but they spelled it Ninjutsu. I always thought it was Ninjitsu, but apparently not. So yes, you're going to see a lot of ninjas in this set, as you might expect. So Raphael the Stubborn Loner is a 6-mana mythic 2/4 double striker. His creature type is awesome and works perfect considering the movie. He is a turtle ninja mutant. So Raphael's 4 colorless, a blue and a red. He has double strike. He has ninjutsu for 3 colorless, a blue and a red, so 1 cheaper than his casting cost. And whenever Raphael the Stubborn Loner deals combat damage to a player, it deals 1 damage to each creature that player controls. So what's cool about that one? You double strike. If you double strike the player, you deal 2 damage to each creature that player controls, which is pretty huge. Especially since if you have a few creatures out and you ninjutsu him out, there's a pretty good chance you're going to deal 2 damage to each creature they control. So very cool, powerful card. Double strike, always a tough mechanic to balance, especially with other abilities involved. But I think Raphael, I wanted to conservatively make him rather than potentially make him too powerful. But he's still definitely very powerful. Double strike is awesome. So there's Raphael. Next we have Michelangelo, the party dude. And Michelangelo is awesome too. So always loved him. Very funny character. Michelangelo, party dude, is 2 colorless, a blue, and 2 red for a 3/4 mythic turtle ninja mutant. He has first strike. He has ninjutsu for 1 colorless, a blue, and 2 red. And when Michelangelo Party Dude enters the battlefield, you may have it fight target creature you don't control. So what's interesting about this one is you can either, hard cast him and have him fight, or sneak him in for a fight that your opponent wasn't expecting. And of course, you can see in the picture, I believe this was the scene where Michelangelo is doing sort of a nunchuck showdown with one of the foot soldiers, which is a pretty funny scene. Michelangelo schools him, as you might expect. Next, we have Leonardo, Honorable Leader. So yes, Leonardo is kind of a sensitive character in the movie, and he sees himself as an equal to his brothers. He doesn't exactly take the leadership role. It's sort of just handed to him. So Leonardo, Honorable Leader, is 3 colorless, a white and a blue for a 4/4 mythic vigilance creature. And yes, I understand that vigilance and ninjutsu don't exactly have the best interaction, since ninjutsu says return an unblocked attacker you control to hand, put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. So if you ninjutsu Leonardo out, he does come in tapped despite having the vigilance. But the reason that he has ninjutsu and why he's so good is he also has, when Leonardo, Honorable Leader, enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain first strike until end of turn. So very good surprise ability there. Absolutely. So yes, Leonardo, Honorable Leader, very strong. Very strong card. Finally, of the Ninja Turtles, we have Donatello, Techie Genius. So Donatello is, always been known as the smart turtle, the genius one, the one that deals with all the gadgets and inventions and stuff like that. So I definitely wanted his card to indicate that. So Donatello is the only monocolored turtle. He's 1 colorless and 3 blue for a 3/3 mythic turtle ninja mutant. He has ninjutsu for 1 colorless and 2 blue. And whenever Donatello Techie Genius deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may put an artifact card with converted mana cost 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So kind of a cool way to cheat out his little artifact inventions. I wanted to put the restriction on the mana cost because otherwise you could just like sneak out something insane like a Blightsteel Colossus or, some enormous artifact. So I definitely wanted to put some sort of limit on that. But even with mana cost 4 or less, you can sneak out some pretty cool artifacts. So I think he's definitely worthy of a mythic and a very strong card. And I kind of like the little 4 theme that he's got. He costs 4 mana. He lets you look at the top 4 of your library, and you can put an artifact with convert mana cost 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. So overall, very strong card as well. Moving on, we've got Splinter, Wise Father. So this was a little bit tricky of a card to design, only because I didn't want to put black in his mana cost, but it turns out every rat creature in Magic the Gathering is black. So he had to have black in his casting cost, but I wanted to offset that black mana by putting some white mana in his mana cost as well. So Splinter, Wise Father is 1 black and 2 white for a 2/3 mythic rat ninja mutant creature. He has ninjutsu for a white and a black, and he has other ninja creatures you control get +1/+1. He's the Lord effect for other ninjas because he's the one who trained the Ninja Turtles how to fight. And whenever Splinter, Wise Father, deals combat damage to a player, you may destroy target legendary creature that player controls. Maybe people have forgotten, but at the end of the movie, after the Ninja Turtles do battle with Shredder, Splinter's actually the one who gets the kill hit on Shredder. So I definitely wanted him to have that ability. Very strong mythic, since you can cheat him in for only 2 mana, and if he deals combat damage to a player, you get to destroy one of their legendary creatures. So certainly strong there. Next we have Casey Jones, the Vigilante, and this is a very beloved character from the movie. I loved the actor's portrayal of Casey Jones. It was really awesome. And Casey Jones is, as his name suggests, a vigilante. So he just sort of prowls the streets looking for, thieves and bad guys and basically taking the law into his own hands. So Casey Jones, the Vigilante, is 1 colorless and 2 red for a 3/2 rare legendary human warrior creature. He is not a ninja. And if you'll recall, Casey Jones had like a golf bag full of various tools to dispense justice with, whether it be a hockey stick or a golf club or a cricket, cricket bat. So, or a baseball bat. So he really did have just like the full arsenal of cool handheld weapons. He has Intimidate because he wears a very intimidating mask, and the bad guys that he beats up are usually pretty scared of him. And he also has Fire Breathing for 1 colorless and a red. So Casey Jones gets +1/+0 for 1 colorless and a red. And I didn't want it to just be straight up fire breathing because he has Intimidate. So having evasion plus fire breathing is typically very strong. And since he's already pretty well costed, three mana, 3 power, evasion, as well as fire breathing at rare, I felt that 2 mana is still pretty justifiable, still very good. And his flavor text is, of course, now that was a crime, you purse snatching pukes, and this is the penalty. So that's actually from the scene that you can see in the picture here. You can see the 2 bad guys that he's talking to in that scene. Moving on, we have April O'Neil, reporter. So this was a really well-cast character, I thought. She did a great job, and I really liked her character in the movie. And she's a reporter. So April O'Neil, reporter, is the card name. She's a white and a blue for a legendary human advisor creature. She's a rare, and she's a 1/2. And her abilities are, whenever an opponent casts a spell, you gain 1 life. Very good, especially at her cost. And a lot more justifiable to give that ability since she's a legend. So having multiple of a 2-cost creature out that lets you gain a life off each spell might have been a little bit overpowered, but considering she's a legend, that I think that's fine. And her other ability is you may look at the top card of your opponent's library. So if you'll recall, Sphinx of Jwar Isle lets you look at the top card of your library. April O'Neil, being a reporter, kind of has the inside scoop on what your opponent is drawing. So I definitely wanted her card to indicate and represent that. And overall, I'm pretty happy with her design. It'd be cool to have a little creature that lets you constantly keep tabs on what your opponent's going to draw at a very, good cost. Next, we have Foot Soldier, who is a 2 in a black, 1/1 uncommon human ninja creature. It has ninjutsu at 2 black, and whenever Foot Soldier deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. So that's sort of how I justified the 3 mana 1/1. It's also an uncommon, so you don't have to worry about having like a million of these out or seeing too many of them in a limited environment. But yes, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, making them discard a card is quite good. So I think that justifies it being an uncommon. And the Foot Soldiers they go down pretty easy, so I think 1/1 is a pretty justifiable power toughness for them as well. And yes, I still think that's a pretty powerful uncommon, despite it being a 3 mana 1/1 or a 2 black ninjutsu 1/1. Finally, we have Master Tatsu, the Brooding. So this is a cool character too. This is sort of the Shredder's second in command. And Master Tatsu, the Brooding, is 2 colorless and 2 black for a 3/2 mythic human ninja creature. It has ninjutsu for 1 colorless and 2 black, and when Master Tatsu the Brooding enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 black human ninja creature token onto the battlefield. So pretty strong card. So you get to ninjutsu him out, immediately get a 1/1 ninja, and then if he deals the damage, since he's unblocked, you get another ninja. So just spitting out ninjas nonstop. They tend to follow him around since he's the second in command. He does command a pretty large squad of foot soldiers, as you can see in his picture. And he was a cool character. He has a final showdown with Casey Jones. That is a very cool little mini boss battle in the movie. And finally, we have Oroku Saki, the Shredder. So if you'll recall from the movie, his name is Oroku Saki. He kills Splinter's master. And Splinter's master is actually in the movie where Splinter learns all of his martial arts. He just, from his cage as a little rat, watches his master at work and learns as a little rat how to do martial arts, which is pretty funny. But yes, Oroku Saki kills his master, Splinter's master. I believe it was over the love of a woman. And Oroku Saki, the Shredder, is 2 colorless and 3 black for a 3/6 human ninja creature, a mythic. He has Death Touch. He has ninjutsu for 1 colorless and 3 black. And whenever Oroku Saki, the Shredder, deals combat damage to a player, that player loses life equal to the number of black creatures you control. So since Oroku Saki, the Shredder, leads this sort of network of underground kids that are his foot soldiers. I definitely wanted his ability to be more powerful as you build an army of foot soldiers. So very strong, very strong mythic. Granted, he only has 3 power, but the death touch makes it so he's a very difficult creature to block. And also, your opponent does not want to take damage from him, as they would at least lose 4 life if you just have the Shredder out. So overall, pretty fun set to make. No unique mechanics, but this was definitely a perfect one to bring ninjutsu into. Since it's the name of the movie. So, hope you enjoyed that custom set. I also hope you're enjoying the Dragons of Tarkir drafts. I haven't had too much success in the 8-4s, but I've been doing, pretty good in the Swiss. I did win in 8-4 a few drafts ago, so that was fun. Still sort of deciding on which archetypes I like the most. I feel like I've had the most success with enemy color decks, but I've had some success with like blue 8 flyers and stuff like that. So keep tuning in for the Dragons of Tarkir drafts and enjoying those. And we'll see you next week for the next podcast.